In this demonstration, we're going to take you on a little bit of a technical walkthrough of the Update 05 for Infor CRM 8.1. 05 is the first release that completely rebrands and reskins your Infor CRM web client to look like the rest of the Infor business applications. So it is a beautification, as they call it, and a slimming down of all the graphical and icon objects that were part of the previous web client. And so I'm just going to take you through how to do that briefly and what those files consist of. So Update 05 is available for download from the Infor Extreme portal, and you can download the three files, which are going to consist of these three, which is the SNC update, model update, and web core update. And you're going to need to install all three of these in order to have a fully updated 05 system. So you're going to want to start with the SNC 05 update, and I double clicked on that zip file which I downloaded, and of course in here is a very detailed implementation guide that you'll want to follow. There's also an executable file, and when you run that, it's going to install a new version of the application architect, the administrator, and a couple other back-end components. So these are the server-based executables that power the back end of an Infor CRM system. But then you'll also have to install a bundle into the the administrator application. So that's what we're looking at here. Is in my administrator, I double clicked on the 8.1 Update 05 bundle. I have already installed it in this system, but we're going to take a look at, well, what's in there. Now, the 05 update is what they call a cumulative update, which means it contains all of the updated files that were in previous updates, which is why you're seeing 01 and 02 sections, and then 03. There was never a release of 04, so we're skipping right to 05. And so if we scroll down a little bit more, this is going to tell us what 05 put in the system. So if you've already been on 03, and now we're just going one more step forward to 05, this is the new components and plugins you're going to get. If you're on an out-of-the-box 8.1 system with no updates, you're going to get everything that you see in 03, 02, and 01. So in this video, we're seeing that some new dashboard items are being installed, and the thing we want to mention here is for both Oracle and SQL, they're also installing several new triggers, and what those are for is for the upcoming Ion integration. So Infor has a product called Ion that's used to integrate their CRM system with their ERP systems, and the table structure and some of the components in the database that are going to support that are in this particular release, and that's what these couple of triggers are doing. They're actually monitoring the Infor CRM database, and they are creating an audit trail of anything that's new, changed, updated, and deleted. So anything that changes, for example, in the account table based on this trigger, it's going to create an audit record, and that audit record in the database is what Ion is going to grab to make available to the ERP systems if you do in fact have one of these integrated systems. So what we wanted to mention here is there's a pretty good chance that these triggers can create some pretty big tables in your audit trail in your SQL database. So we actually recommend, if you don't have Ion running, that you temporarily go into SQL and disable these triggers. They can also create a lot of massive change files if you do an import, for example, or some kind of a global update to the account table, like a territory realignment or an import. They're going to generate a lot of these change files. So just for good housekeeping reasons, we would suggest deactivating them temporarily. You can always turn them back on, of course, if you do install the Ion integration. There's also some new SQL views that replace some previous views that were in the system. And down here you'll see one other new trigger that's part of the Ion integration. So that's what you get with the SNC 05 update. Now the next one you want to run is the Web Core update 05, which has actually got a bundle in it as well, which you will see here, which is Web Core Update 05, and let's take a look at what's in there. So we open up that one, make my screen a little bit bigger, and you're going to see some other objects that it added from 01, 02. Remember, this is cumulative, so you're going to get all of that plus 03, and if we scroll a bit further we get down to 05. Now Web Core and Web Model updates do impact the web client, where SNC again is targeted mostly on back-end applications and database level stuff. So in here we got some new views again, but you'll also notice that there's some new dashboard widgets that replace all of the existing dashboard widgets in the web client. So that's part of their UI refresh, was to give you new dashboard icons, or dashboard objects I should say. So you're going to get a new pie chart that looks a little bit more plain and a little bit less flashy than the previous version. And again, it's part of this flattening kind of style that they're moving the application towards. They do work just fine with any dashboards you currently have built in the system. They're just going to look a little different in the display, a little flatter and somewhat less colorful than in the previous version, so no big deal. Okay, so we're going to move on to now the architect. And in the architect, well, before we move on, I'm sorry, let's take a look at a couple other files here. In Web Core Update 05, there's going to be 3 bundles we're going to be putting in the application architect for the web client. And there are 3 of them in here, as I mentioned. One is called the Augs update, one is called the help, and then there's one other one that is creates the new views inside. Let's take a look at the application architect so you can see that a little bit better. So again, I've installed these already in my system. So if we look at Web Core Update 05, which we're talking about today, inside of that bundle and in this tree, it's going to show you what's contained in there. Now all of the look and the feel and the colors and the fonts of the actual Infor CRM web client are controlled by the CSS files. This SLX base one is mostly the interface that your users are going to see when they're using the system. So this CSS file, which some people call a style sheet or a theme when it comes to applying a particular look on top of an application, so that is what gives you all the new cosmetic changes to the interface. This is not going to affect your customizations. It doesn't overwrite any of your screens if you've got custom screens. But what Infor tells us is that web model updates, any update that's called a model update, shouldn't interfere with any of your existing customizations. And I kind of agree with that statement, but you do have to take a close look at, well, what exactly is it going to replace that I might have customized in my system? So I've opened up the smart parts in here, and you can see that in, for example, the campaign area, it is putting in a brand new stages and tasks screen. In the opportunity area, it's replacing with a brand new sales process screen or tab at the opportunity level. Now again, I would not think it would be likely that people have modified that tab, which is why they've categorized it as a model update. But if you did modify that, this is definitely going to overwrite that and put back in an out-of-the-box screen. So you have the option of not applying that. If you want to keep your old customized sales process tab, you're still going to get the new skin or theme because of the CSS file. but it isn't going to replace the plugins and the objects on the screen in the event you've customized any of that. Okay, so the next one we'll look at though is web model. And that one they do come clean and say, well, that absolutely could overwrite because it does impact what they call more core screens or screens that are part of the typical user interface that people typically overwrite. So we're going to take a look at that here. And you can see as I expand out the packages and the application entities and then go into the account layer, there are some brand new forms. Account contacts, which is a tab, account contracts, which is another tab, extended details, and then the insert account screen. These are all brand new. So these are going to replace your custom screen of the same name if in fact you did customize it. And again, most people don't customize this, but maybe you did. Now, one I would say that is very likely to be custom in your system is the contacts detail view, which is the top half of the contacts entity. You are going to get a new one of those. So this will overwrite a custom contacts detail view if you've got one. So your choices again are to either not accept the new contacts detail screen, which will keep the one you have in place, still get the new skin, or you can create a combination by using a diff merge tool to put your current customizations into this new screen, or you can put the new screen in and then add your customizations back in. Also, under the leads area, there is a new insert lead and lead details screen. So you'll have to go through all the same procedures you would typically go through for an update, and that is examine your customizations, look at all these bundles, and compare them to your current system, and make sure that your custom screens, scripts, views, and whatnot migrate forward successfully. But not a lot has changed, so there's not a lot of risk of too much stuff getting overwritten, but you'll have to be the judge of that when you go through the diffing procedure for your customizations. Now, this particular one I mentioned, this AUGS bundle, which was part of the model update, or core update, I'm sorry, is the login screen. So the AUGS bundle gives you a brand new login screen with the big red Infor logo. So it replaces that. Again, most people have not customized that particular screen, but maybe you did, and so if you did, this also is going to overwrite that. Now, it's pretty easy to put in your own logo because you can see that that big red Infor logo is a 24 pixel by 24 pixel PNG graphic file. So you could put in your own maybe company logo instead of Infor's logo on your login screen. So it kind of makes it easy to do that. That's why they separated this out. And then there's also a new help file system here, and that is for all the inline or context sensitive help. So from any screen in Infor CRM, if you click on help, it is going to open up a help screen that's relevant to the screen you started from. And so that's what all these files and various components are for, as well as a new link to the Get Starting Guide from the welcome screen. Those are getting replaced, and then that's all been rebranded. Even though it still says Sales Logics here, it is a new Infor branded help file system. So anyway, that's what I wanted to show everybody today. Thanks for watching.